you ever experienced getting out of bed in the morning to go to school, sit there for 8 hours, and then come home only to do several more hours of homework? On the other hand, have you ever wished you could stay home all day, do school on the couch, and never have any homework? In preparing for today, I've done a lot of research into homeschooling, and along with my own experience, I've come to have a lot of knowledge on this topic. More and more kids are being homeschooled now than ever before. From 1999 to 2012, the percentage of homeschool students in the United States doubled. Because of this sharp rise in homeschooling over the last years and the more vocal protests that these children aren't getting enough socialization, I believe it is important to show the benefits of homeschooling. This type of education may not be for everyone, however, we shouldn't discourage those who want to teach their own children. So in light of the research I've done and my own experiences, I will talk about some of the reasons to homeschool, some of the most common myths about homeschooling, the statistics of homeschooling in the United States, and the overall benefit of homeschooling your children. There are many different reasons that people homeschool their children. According to Calvert Education's 2019 article, Top 5 Reasons Why Parents Homeschool Their Kids, no author listed, the top 5 reasons why parents decide to homeschool are to make a change from a negative school environment, to get a higher quality education, to improve social interactions, to support a learning disabled child, and to educate children during a family relocation. According to the National Household Education Survey, the highest rated reason for homeschooling children is because of negative experiences with public schools. 26% of people gave this as their number one reason. The second highest reason determined by the survey is giving children a better education. Many cite the use of Common Core in schools as a decline in the quality of education their children would be given. Calvert Education also says that another important reason why parents decide to homeschool their children is they want less exposure to bullying and peer pressure. To go along with this, in the 2018 article, 7 Reasons to Homeschool by Dr. James White, homeschooling ensures congruency between your values, beliefs, teaching, and education. Many religious families will homeschool their children to help build and strengthen their beliefs. Another reason parents will homeschool is to support children with learning disabilities. Because homeschooling gives parents a more direct hand in how the child learns, they can approach their education in the way that will best help the student. In public schools, while they would get specialized help, they would still have to move along with the rest of the class. Lastly, families who are moving may find it easier to homeschool during the transition than wait to put their kids back in school where they may have fallen behind. While there are many reasons parents do homeschool, there are also 7 reasons why they don't. There are many negative ideas about homeschooling that can influence how people think about it. 4 of the most widely held myths about homeschooling is that it produces social misfits, fails to prepare good citizens, the students have difficulty entering college, and most people only homeschool for religious reasons. According to Michael Romanowski's 2006 article, Revisiting the Common Myths About Homeschooling, probably the most widely held misconception about homeschooling is the myth of socialization. This myth was born out of the misunderstanding of what homeschooling really is, and rests on the assumption that school is the only effective way of socializing children. What many people don't realize, and what I can vouch for myself, is that homeschooled kids spend a lot of time outside of the house. My siblings and I went on field trips, we took art classes with other homeschoolers, and we dual enrolled in public school to take band and choir. The idea that homeschool kids don't learn to interact with others comes from the misconception that we are locked in our houses all day and never come out unless we need to. The myth that homeschool kids fail to become good citizens has been put to rest by Dr. Brian Ray's 2003 article, Homeschooling Grows Up, which says that homeschooled graduates are active and involved in their communities. 71% participate in ongoing community service activities, compared to 37% of adults of similar ages. The myth that homeschoolers have a hard time getting into college is just that. Compared to the rest of high schoolers taking the ACT or SAT, homeschoolers generally score above the national average. These high scores give them just as much of a chance to get into college. Performing in college environments, studies have shown that homeschoolers have no significant social skill deprivation and they show considerably higher leadership skills. The last myth is that only religious people homeschool. Like I said before, homeschooling can be a way for religious families to instill their values in their children. However, according to Revisiting the Common Myths About Homeschooling, the contemporary homeschooling movement was started sometime around the mid-century as a liberal alternative to public education. Now that we know why people do and don't decide to homeschool, let's look at some of the numbers of homeschooling in the United States. According to the National Center for Education Statistics 2001 article, Homeschooling in the United States, 1999, no author listed, Homeschoolers account for 1.7% of students nationwide during the spring of 1999, and this was roughly 850,000 students. Another survey conducted in 2012 showed that the homeschooling rate increased to 3.4% in 2012, according to the National Center for Education Statistics' 2016 article, Homeschooling in the United States by Jeremy Redford. The article goes on to say that the average number has increased to 1.8 million homeschool students. According to the 2019 article, General Facts, Statistics, and Trends by Dr. Brian Ray, there were an estimated 2.3 million homeschool students in spring of 2016. He goes on to say that this may be the fastest growing form of education in the United States. Now that we know the main reason for and against homeschooling and the numbers of homeschooling in the US, let's take a look at the overall benefit of homeschooling. Homeschooling can have many pros and cons. According to Calvert Education's 2019 article, Homeschooling Pros and Cons, no author listed, one of the greatest benefits of homeschooling is its flexibility. Your child can move at their own pace and you can focus on the interests of that child. A con is that you'll have to plan school-time activities and handle the work of being a teacher, but on the other hand, you have a direct role in what the child learns and you can build a stronger relationship with them. Another con is they may have fewer close friends than they would at school. However, homeschooling reduces the likelihood of bullying and peer pressure. Your kids will get to interact with people of all ages rather than just the kids in their class. In summary, there are many arguments for and against homeschooling, but the surveys and statistics clearly show that the homeschooling movement is growing. There are many reasons why parents choose to homeschool their kids, and there are also many reasons why they don't. However, many of these reasons are rooted in myths. Statistical evidence shows that homeschooling has been on the rise, and this must be directly influenced by the benefits of homeschooling. Homeschooling may not be for you, but I encourage you to talk to homeschoolers or their parents about it before you discourage others from it. And I'll leave you with this thought. Homeschoolers are not all sheltered social misfits that are too scared to come out of their homes. They have just as much of a life as you, and you shouldn't shoot down anyone else who tries to tell you otherwise.